regular season and hello to the best time of the year. Welcome to NBA Today. I'm Malika Andrews, and finally we have answers in our epic Western saga. Here's how it all shook out. Of course, we knew the Thunder. They finished with the best record in the league, while the Rockets, the Lakers, the Nuggets, the Clippers, and the Timberwolves, they all locked in playoff spots. And then in the East, it's the Cavaliers who won 60-plus games for the third time in franchise history, while the defending champ Celtics, I know we're not supposed to say do it again, but they kind of want to. You just heard Jason Tatum. The Knicks, the Pacers, the Bucks, the Pistons, they're all locked in to a first-round series. And then out in the play-in in the East, the Orlando Magic, they will play the Hawks tomorrow, with the winner taking on the Celtics in the first round. Why does it always feel like the Bulls are in the play-in? They are the play-in warriors. They're going to host the Heat, with the loser being eliminated, the winner taking on the loser of Orlando and Atlanta. Now in the West, the Warriors, they host the Grizzlies in a must-see game that grants them a ticket to the first-round series against the Houston Rockets. And then the Kings, they take on the Mavericks. The winner of that one takes on the loser of Golden State and Memphis for that final Western playoff spot. But how exactly did we get here? Well, it all came down to one game last night. Win and get in. The Clippers and the Warriors, they played for a chance at staying out of the play-in entirely. And Brian Windhorst, it did not disappoint. Chef Curry, was the shimmy too early?
I thought so in the real time, but what am I going to say? The man's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
And then James Harden, he put on a clinic. We're going to get to that in just a minute here. But the Clippers playing their best basketball at the same time. Zubats takes advantage there inside. And then Kawhi Leonard, the final possession here of regulation, couldn't get the shot to fall. And so to overtime we go. And that brings us to our electric moment, brought to you by Hyundai, because James Harden was absolutely cooking in overtime.
Right from the start, the first basket puts them ahead. They controlled the overtime with James Harden leading the way. James
Harden, once again, gets that one to fall. And then here, 2 minutes left to go, Steph Curry. A huge three here, Udonis, for the chef.
Great pin down. He's got it going in the second half. You got to go to him while he's hot.
But then Steph weaving, bobbing. He gets double teamed here in the corner and then turns it over.
Yeah, tough play. They're down two with a minute to go. You definitely want to push the pace. You split the trap. But once you get down in that corner with a smaller guy, you have the baseline and you have the sideline as an extra defender.
What do we say about James Harden cooking? Well, right here, this would be called as a goaltend by Jimmy Butler there. So count the bucket for James Harden here. Jimmy Butler can't believe it. Under a minute to go here. Butler. Originally, this was called as an and one, but then that foul was overturned, so play on here. What do you see on this play, UD?
Great play. I mean, Draymond's just got to go up strong. I know he doesn't have a lot of lift right now, but as a big and you get the ball in the paint, you got to go up and try to dunk it.
It seemed like he was looking for a foul.
He wanted the foul there.
Exactly.
Tried to get one.
He looked like he wanted the
bait.
foul. This is the play we see all the time here for the Golden State Warriors, something they got from Brad Stevens. They weren't able to get it to fall. The Clippers win. Here's Draymond after the game.
We're not senior citizens. We're high-level basketball players. If we had to play tomorrow, we'd be all right.
We got Tuesday, and you don't want to talk about anything else. Just, to get into a playoff series. So there is a sense of urgency. There's been one for the last 2 months for us to even have a chance. So, our history of the play-in, you kind of just want to feel like what it's like to get through that and get into, hopefully, a series with Houston.
So speaking of the Warriors' history of the play-in, that's what they were talking about here. The Warriors have actually never won a play-in game. They're 0-3 all-time in the tournament. That's the most losses by any team in the play-in tournament. This includes a home loss to the Grizzlies, who now they're going to have to see in 2021 in a game for the 8th seed. So looking at this, Brian Windhorst, do you think, first of all, do we believe that the Warriors can get past the Grizzlies? This game is a quick turnaround. It is on Tuesday. We saw Jimmy Butler get banged up. He was limping coming off of this game. Steph Curry had a huge wrap on his hand. Can they beat the Grizzlies? Let's just start there.
Yes, they can beat the Grizzlies.
Okay.
The Grizzlies have not done well against the top teams in the league in the second half of the season, but there is a penalty for allowing themselves to get to this. High minutes, some banged up injuries, and frankly, The Warriors did not finish strong. They lost 3 of their last 5, and they did not perform well in their home court. So if you're the Grizzlies, you're going in there saying this is not the same team that was 19-2 with Steph and Jimmy just a couple of weeks ago.
Okay, so they can still beat the Grizzlies, but it's going to come down to, Shams, in a lot of ways, the health of this team. What can you tell us about Jimmy Butler, who, as I mentioned, we saw limping down the stretch here, and Steph Curry, who had that thumb heavily wrapped?
So 2 big injuries. Stephen Curry's got that right thumb, but one Warriors source told me that he's feeling fine enough, good enough, healthy enough to be playing. So he will be out there on Tuesday. Jimmy Butler, he's also expected to play. He's getting around-the-clock treatment, is my understanding. He has a deep thigh contusion, from what I'm told, and so he's going to have to go through a lot over these next 48 hours to be able to play, but I trust him to play. The big question, though, is Jonathan Kuminga and his role in Tuesday's game. Does he play? Because we saw yesterday he was not in the rotation. Steve Kerr, I'm told him before the game that he would be out of the rotation. They just have not been able to optimize him in that lineup with Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, and Stephen Curry. I think they want him to play more of a dunker spot role, slashing, cutting. We've seen his prowess when he has the ball in his hands and attacking. That might not be his role, though, in Golden State. But I do think they'll need his athleticism. Gary Payton II and Moses Moody had 6 points in about 55 minutes last night.
Okay, so they're going to need a full-strength Warriors squad, and Jimmy Butler's playing through some nicks and knacks here. Steph Curry's playing through a couple of things. Let's say they get through the Memphis Grizzlies here. The Grizzlies will need a Herculean effort from Ja Morant in order to get this done. I have some questions about the Zach Edey matchup. That's going to be interesting to watch. But let's say they do. Do you still think the Warriors can make a deep playoff run here, UD?
They got a chance. When you got Steph Curry,
that was a long pause.
When you got Steph Curry, you have a chance. But playoff Jimmy, they have playoff Jimmy. We're talking about the guy who's come from the team who's been the most successful in the play-in. I know they haven't won anything in the play-in, but this is what Jimmy does. Back against the wall, no other way out. Our guys 15 strong against the world.
This is not meant as a slight at the Rockets, because the Rockets earned that #2 seed with impressive play down the stretch, including a win not that long ago in Golden State. But the difference between the 2 and the 7 seeds, and I'm leaving Memphis out of there for now, they could prove me wrong, is not that much. There's not that much of a difference between these teams. The Thunder have set themselves off. Any of those teams, and I'm sure the Grizzlies feel this way too, any of those teams feel like they can beat the other team. It's not saying that you are downgrading the Rockets because you think the Warriors can make a run. Yes, I think the Warriors can make a run, but I think any seedings in the Final Four I could see happening because I respect all of these teams.
Let's take a look at just how jumbled and how close all of this was. The playoff matchups, they look like this so far. 7 and 8, of course, still yet to be determined. This is what we know. We know the Nuggets will face the Clippers. We know the Lakers will take on the Timberwolves. And then in the East, we get a first-round matchup, the Pacers and the Bucks. We also know the Knicks and the Pistons are going to face off here. But, Brian, you think that the Clippers and Denver, that may be the most intriguing first-round series we have?
Yes.
Why?
So this was such an impressive performance from the Clippers yesterday, going into Golden State, taking all the balls. It wasn't like Steph Curry had a bad game here. He was throwing haymakers in the second half and the fourth quarter of this game. They absorbed them all. And Kawhi Leonard, I know we have been here before at the start of the playoffs. Twice he has not been able to make it through the first round in recent years. This is the best he has looked to me, guys, since the 2019 season when he led the Raptors to the title. His jump shot is so calibrated right now. The mid-range, the three-point range, he's shooting over 50% on both over the last 20 games. James Harden, he is going to make my all-NBA team when I put my ballot in later this week, with an exclamation point that he slammed home yesterday in the last day to decide the voting, because he was so awesome. They've got defensive guys playing well, and I respect Denver. They worked very hard to get that #4 seed. I'm not sure where Jamal Murray is health-wise, but I'm absolutely respecting this Clippers team finishing 18-3, winning the huge game yesterday, and playing terrific defense down the stretch.
But you saying you're not sure where Jamal Murray is health-wise, usually that's the question that we have for Kawhi Leonard. And we're seeing him come off playing 42 minutes on Friday, 47 minutes yesterday. It feels like, Shams, this is the healthiest that we've seen Kawhi Leonard in years.
Malika, Kawhi Leonard is being fully unleashed. He is fully healthy finally, and you have to give the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard a lot of credit. They went through 9 months of a lot of questions. We did not know the condition Kawhi Leonard would ever be in for the remainder of his NBA career. And from April 2024 to January 2025, the rigorous rehab, the regimen, they had everything mapped out. And now we see 15 straight games of 20 points or more. That's the second longest streak of his career. So clearly, to Brian's point, he is playing some of the best basketball of his career. He's back to being a two-way force. And for the league, that is a big scare.
I assume that it's going to be Aaron Gordon who's going to get that matchup against Kawhi Leonard. I do not envy that assignment for AG, but it's another matchup in this series that you're keyed in on.
I'm looking for the big man matchup. I am so excited for this matchup. I love what Zoo has been able to do down there. And there's not very many guys that can match the size, the physicality, and the strength of Joker. I'm looking to see that matchup and see how they go against each other. Not just how Zubac plays against him, but how Joker can guard Zubac, because he is a threat down there in the paint.
There have been some moments when Zubac has actually gotten the better of Jokic. Jokic's record against everybody is awesome.
No, you don't say Wendy.
Zubac has had some moments, so we want to see that. I also want to see Chris Dunn, who has turned into a spectacular.
Wow.
We knew when he came in the league he could defend. Let's see that matchup against Jamal Murray. That is also going to be a key one to watch.
Zubac has a whole lot of experience guarding Nikola Jokic. In fact, since Jokic came in the league, there's only one player who has more experience attempting to guard. Again, containing Jokic is something that is in relative degrees. Rudy Gobert is the only person in the league who has more experience guarding Jokic than Ivica Zubac. You see how we all waited till the end to say Ivica Zubac? There you go. Coming up on NBA Today, let's talk about some regular season failures, maybe. Is the Suns situation salvageable? Shams is here with all the inside information on Mike Budenholzer's dismissal and what it means for KD and Book. Plus, we're hours away from Paige Bueckers expected to land that top spot in the WNBA draft. We have a live report from New York on how the pick could transform the W. And we got a little party in the play-in. Brian, you going? You've RSVP'd. Who's going to claim the final 4 spots in the postseason picture? We debate next on NBA Today.